What's going on, everyone? I'm here with Clint from Liberty Lockdown. As usual, we're a pair these days. How you doing, Clint?
I'm good, man. What a night. What a 2 nights. Holy shit. I could barely even process everything, to be honest.
This is actually 3 nights now.
Is it 3?
Yeah, Dave Smith dinner was the first night.
Oh my God. That was the first night. Okay, yeah. So we had a 2-hour dinner with Dave Smith, and it was everything you could ever dream of. Better than everything you'd ever dream of? Yeah, it was better.
It was great.
And then what happened night 2?
Night 2 was we went to a bar, and Scott Horton, Spike Cohen, Jess Mears, Hannah Cox, you, me, Jeremy,
Martha
Bueno.
Good God, is she hot? Anyways, continue.
Just like everybody except for Dave pretty much was in there.
Yeah.
All the Mises Caucus libertarian type people, none of the higher up people, but they were all in there, and we were just all shooting the shit. We were making jokes with Spike Cohen, and I don't know. It was nuts. It was surreal for sure.
Yes, it was surreal. We also picked Scott Horton up from his hotel, and then we took him back to the convention center, and we were like, all right, I got Eliza Blue and a handful of other people inside waiting for us. We got to go inside. And Scott gets out of the car, and he wants to talk to us. Like, I don't even know how we got into this. I think Reed set it off, but we were talking to him about 9/11. They got crunk, and we go like 30 minutes deep. And then we get people that are leaving the convention center that see Scott, and they go, is that the great Scott Horton? And then like everyone says it just like that, which is hilarious because Dave totally dubbed that. And then they all walk up, and every single person that Scott sees, he is down to have a 20 to 30 minute long, hard debate, one-sided, lopsided, where he just hammers them with facts from like God. And then
and by the way, we're talking like a 500-foot walk that took about an hour and a half.
Real talk, like dead serious. That's how long it took. And Eliza's texting me like, where you at? I'm like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. It was an hour and a half. Terrible. But it was amazing. It was like one of the weirdest feelings I've ever had, because I was trying to get out of the best podcast I've ever heard with Scott Horton. I didn't like that. I didn't like that feeling, but I had people I was trying to get to, so that was weird.
Yeah, I remember at one moment when the three of us were, sort of migrating toward the door, this one guy came up and he's like, Scott Horton. And then he's like, hey, Liberty Lockdown.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
Hey, naturalist capitalist. That's fucking weird when you're next to Scott and someone is calling out your podcast too. It's like, but Scott Horton.
It was wild just to be even in his company, much less recognized as like a peer or something. I was like, you got this way twisted, but really appreciate it. And then, I mean, it's been encounter after encounter over the past 3 days of just people, I had someone call me a hero tonight. Very strange.
Not an exaggeration.
Yeah, no, really happened.
Well, I'm saying that wasn't an exaggeration to call you a hero. I know.
But yeah, so many people, and it's really weird because people approach me like they don't want to bother me, and I'm like, yo, you aren't bothering me. Like, this is the coolest shit ever. To have anyone even recognize me, much less listen to what we're doing, is just the most novel, cool experience. And then tonight gets completely bonkers, and I'll let you recap that.
Okay, so tonight we didn't really know what was going on, so we figured, we'll just go to a bar. So Liza, you, me, Jeremy, Isley, a couple other people, we just go to this random bar and we're just hanging out, not doing much. And then Liza says, there's this restaurant where there's a rooftop where Dave Rubin's hanging out, and I think I can get us up there. And so we were like, oh, okay. So then she gets us up onto this rooftop.
By the way, Eliza Blue, based goddess.
Yes,
she's so fucking dope. So dope.
It's amazing. And we wouldn't have gotten any of this connection. Like, also, she was kind of risking her reputation by bringing us up there.
Totally.
Some of the people she didn't know very well, and then the ones she does, she had reason to be suspicious of. But she brings us up there, and so now we're hanging out on this rooftop, and Ion Hersey Ali's up there, Dave Rubin's up there, Michael Shermer's up there. Like there's, and they're just all hanging out talking. And so then Clint and I get to go talk to Dave briefly, and then we talk to his producer. He's maybe going to come on both of our shows. We'll see how that works out. And then we get this big group picture with all of us, with Dave Rubin in the middle. And then I really want to see Ion Hersey Ali again, because she's been a hero of mine for a long time. So I go up on the higher section of the roof, and she's hanging out up there with Dave Rubin and some other guy, and I don't want to just go walk over and interrupt them. So I'm hanging with Jeremy on the railing, just 20 feet away from them, and then she walks away from the group, and I go over to her and I say, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" And she's like, "Oh, sure." So we get a picture, and then she did a debate today with Scott Horton, which you guys have to watch. And I'm a big fan of hers, but she is wrong in this area. Scott Horton was completely right. So please watch that debate. But Jeremy and I were talking with her, and we're like, "Hey, we're friends with Scott Horton, but we really admire you and think you're great." And she said, "Well, I didn't think the debate was set up that well. I would like there to have been a different format or something." And so we talked to her for a few minutes, and then she says, I've really got to go though. I got to get Dave Rubin and that other guy their drinks. So we're like, "Oh, okay." So we're hanging out up on the roof. And then I'll let you take over, because this is when she goes down. And
yeah, so she, well, I'm standing on the balcony, and Reed sends me a selfie with him and Ion. And I was like, "This son of a bitch." And he's looking at me as I see it. So you get to see my whole reaction. And I'm like, "Oh man, I can't believe he got it. Good for him though." And then I walk inside to the bar, and these other two people that we had picked up that were listeners of ours that were hanging with us, the dude is just chewing Ion's ear off. And I interject, and I'm like, "Can I get a photo?" And she's carrying 3 drinks. I didn't know this at the time, but she's carrying the drinks for Dave. So she puts them down, and because she's like, "I don't want to look like an alcoholic in the photo." And I was like, good call. You can just hand them to me. I'll be the alcoholic, because I apparently am on this week. Jesus Christ, I haven't drank this much in my life. So we take the picture, and I'm super excited. And then she sits down, or she picks up the drinks again, and then Eliza walks in, and Eliza's like, "Ion, we have to take a photo." And she's like, "I'm holding these drinks. Please, no."
She's the sweetest person in the world, by the way.
She's so nice.
Yeah.
She's so nice. And, regardless of our differences of opinion, she's a very sweet soul. And I think that you should, respect the fact that she's risked her life to talk out about Islam and a whole bunch of crazy shit. So I have no choice but to respect her. And she's a very sweet person. So that's just a fact. So then I take the pictures of Eliza with her, and they take this really cute one where they're looking at each other, and it's just like, it's so beautiful because they both work for, protecting women. I thought that was a great moment. And then she picks up the drinks, she walks up the stairs, and then I'll let Reed handle this.
Yeah. So then Jeremy and I decide we're going to head down the stairs. We don't know where she went or what's going on. And so then we see Ion struggling up the stairs with these 3 drinks. And we say, "Oh, do you want us to help you with those?" And she said, yes, please, just take all of them. So we took all 3 of the drinks, and we're like, "Where are these going?" And she's like, "Just go give them to Dave Rubin." So then Jeremy and I just come out, and we're like, "Hey, Dave, we got your drinks for you." And he's like, whoa, this is a lot of drinks. We're like, "We didn't spike them or anything." And it was just really weird. And we hung out up there for, I don't know, probably an hour or so. And then we went downstairs and drank some more and had some crazy conversations. But I mean, just like meeting all these people and hanging out with them and having these conversations, it's just mind blowing. And I remember there was this one point where I was thinking like, "Oh, damn, I would have liked to talk to Dave Rubin longer." And it's like, wait, Reed, like, think about what you're saying. You would like to talk to Dave Rubin longer. Like, you got to actually meet Dave Rubin, talk to his producer. That's like, it's pretty amazing.
And take a photo with him. And, really, I mean, we got to like hang with the guy. Yeah, but I still felt the same way. I mean, yeah. I did. I wish I could have talked to him more, but he's over there like chopping it up with Michael Shermer and Yaron Brook, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, these are like preeminent guys in the scene. So for us to even have the opportunity to just be in their company, definitely I felt like we probably should have been more grateful for it. And shout out to Eliza for setting this all up, because it probably wouldn't happen tonight. Even though last night was kind of our setup with Scott and a bunch of other people, but regardless, it's just a really beautiful friendship and relationship that we've established with her, and she's just fucking rad. I kind of really doubled down on that. She is so fucking cool, and anyone that gives her shit, like, you got a problem with me, because that girl is so nice. She's just she really risked basically her entire relationship with Dave Rubin just to get us up on that rooftop. So badass.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have trusted us, but and then also, so we've been mingling with the greats. We also, both Clint and I, mingled with, or I wouldn't say mingled, but talked to the not so greats yesterday. Everybody's favorite libertarian, Nick Sarwark, made the case that theft does not violate the non-aggression principle. So there's this panel, I forget everyone that was on it, but Larry Sharp was moderating, and then there was Jess Mears and Boomer. There was one other guy, and then Nick. But anyway, one of the guys had some property stolen from him. So he was
Boomer,
and he was telling the story about how he regained his property and how he believes he broke the non-aggression principle by destroying someone's property to regain his own property. And Larry was like, whoa, hold on a second. I don't think that's necessarily right. A lot of people would argue that you were warranted in doing that because someone already aggressed against you. And then Genius jumps in and says, actually...
no, before he jumps in, he's just sitting there going...
Yeah, he's vehemently disagreeing. And he jumps in and says, actually, theft in and of itself does not violate the non-aggression principle. And so there's this line to ask questions. Both Clint and I got up right after that.
Immediately.
To go.
After I picked my eyes up off the ground because they rolled out of my head when he said it. This motherfucker.
But we both got to speak directly to Nick.
I told him I was his number one fan,
and he definitely knew who both of us were.
I said, this is Clint from Liberty Lockdown, Nick's number one fan, and then I look at him real quick. Like, you know me, motherfucker. I'm the guy that told you this is how men bond, and if you get tired of having no friends, you should try it sometime. When he was dragging us for our Tower Power gang, fucking. Anyways. So yeah, I asked him. I said, it seems to me that it's fairly self-evident that the IRS or income tax is a violation of the NAT, given that you can be imprisoned if you refuse it. And I try to get the entire panel to acknowledge that to be a fact. They all seem to, but then he says his retort, his response is that essentially this level of logic can justify you shooting postal employees or something insane like that, which no, it doesn't. It doesn't justify that, but it does justify defending yourself if someone tries to arrest you for tax evasion, for instance. So I love that he had to straw man it instantly, but I didn't have a chance to respond. So Reed has a question.
So I was going to ask a question pretty similar to what Clint asked, so then I asked a different one. And it was, as we phase out the state, how do we remove the most abusive parts that constantly violate the non-aggression principle in a measured way that we don't screw people over? So, for instance, if we got rid of food stamps but not corporate welfare, in my opinion, you're not doing that the right way. So Nick was the only one who had time to answer. And he told me that if you are valuing a corporation over an individual, that is when there's a problem. And I was just thinking how ironic that is, because of how many instances where he has come out enraged when some governor wants to ban vaccine passports or something, but he didn't say jack shit about the lockdowns. It's like, which one of those is protecting corporate interests and which one of those is protecting individual interests? I don't know. I feel like that guy just can't, we keep thinking there's no way he can say something that will surprise me anymore. And then, suddenly he actually says something that surprises us.
Yeah. He's there to debate what the NAP is, whether it's a principle, a guideline, whatever the fuck. And it's just, it's just, you can't imagine that he can embarrass us any more than he already has. And he's like, theft isn't a violation of the NAP. And you're just like, what? I mean, it's just stunning. It's stunning. And tomorrow, get this, tomorrow, Nick Sarwark is holding a debate where he's arguing about whether, or a talk, I don't even know if it's a debate, a talk about working with everyone. Process that. Where he's saying you have to like find allies in, you know, unexpected company or some shit. I have to attend just to see what the fuck this guy's going to say, because I don't think there's a bigger divisive, alienating, bigoted force that has existed in the LP for the past decade than him. So for him to talk about working with, finding allies and shit, it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and we were actually just talking about this with a Mises Caucus guy at the bar, because he sat down and he told me, so, and he knew who both of us were, and he told me, so you're like a middle of the road libertarian. I said, no. And
oh yeah, that guy.
And I said, there's a difference between middle of the road and, you know, wanting to get along and work together. And so we had to walk him through. And anyone who actually watches either of our shows, you already know how we feel about this. But the whole point of trying to unite people in a way was to expose the people who are really trying to tear us apart. Because if you say, look, I will work with anyone to dismantle the state, to end lockdowns, to end wars, whatever it is, you will only see one group of people step forward and say, okay, I'll do that. The other group is always going to demonize you for associating with people that they don't like, that they deem as evil or bigoted or whatever it is. And I don't think that has been on display any better than it has like the last 6 months, because I think a lot of people were confused, and I was one of them, as to who is really the antagonizer here, or is it just chaos with everyone fighting each other. The Liberty Unity thing has done the most to expose the loser brigade, I think, and I think Clint would agree.
Totally. And it was very weird having to explain this to an extremely drunk person who said that, you know, we were very upset about your unity messaging because it implied you wanted us to take the gloves off. And I tried to, you know, I got pretty passionate because I'm really fucking sick of this argument. But I just said, look, man, my entire point was that we were beating the tar out of the loser brigade and we were winning. So the point in the unity messaging was that we should probably stop wasting so much of our time and energy on these people who are eminently irrelevant. I mean, Nick Sarwark is irrelevant. Trust me, if you went to this fucking convention, like I'd be surprised if Nick Sarwark is a presenter next year and he and I are not. Like that's honestly how I feel about it. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's really what I think. So yeah, these people are on their way out, and I just don't feel like it's really something we need to prioritize anymore.
All right, we got a super chat. Reed's new truck funding campaign. Hey, thanks, man. That's real
Marshall.
nice.
That's very nice.
That's nice. I'm thinking of getting a 4Runner because I don't really need a pickup, and having more than just 2 seats would be. I mean, I don't know if you guys have driven those old Toyota pickups. They technically have 5 seats, but not for Americans, I don't think. But I appreciate it, Marshall. Thanks a lot. And yeah, just in case you guys hadn't heard, if you're just watching this, I got in a really serious accident 3 nights ago now, and I'm somehow unscathed. I don't know how.
Miracle. It's a total miracle.
But it's kind of the talk.
He doesn't believe in God, but it's a miracle.
It was a miracle. I'll give it that. It like you look at the truck and I don't know. I don't know how I have my left leg. I don't know how my neck's not broken. I don't know how I'm not dead, but I'm very lucky.
Real talk. The door that was hit with the vehicle, the driver's side door went in exactly, like the metal went in exactly where Reed's leg would have been had he not been wearing the seatbelt, or had he been wearing a seatbelt, he would have been pinned there. That metal would have gone into his leg, but instead, because he doesn't have a seatbelt on, the impact on the vehicle launches him to the passenger side seat as he does a 270 in the fucking vehicle, in the truck. Y'all, I'm telling you, madness that he's alive, like much less that he has a leg or anything else. It's crazy.
Yeah. The thing I've noticed being here at Freedom Fest is you don't see anyone fighting with each other, because they probably don't have the balls to say stuff that they would on Twitter
Ding,
to
ding, ding.
anyone's face. And also, we're all doing things here. We're not just kind of twiddling our thumbs trying to find things to be outraged about. But I get a lot more hopeful when I go to these events and I actually meet people and see how everyone's excited about things. Because Twitter's just such a cesspool. It's just people who are bored and they know they can get a reaction, and so they they take it out on each other. And I don't think it really reflects the movement as much as we think it does. I mean, I'm kind of hopeful when I come to things like this.
I am, and I'm not. I am because of what he said. I'm not because I see a lot of the, kind of BoomerCon folks that are here, and I just suspect that a lot of people still don't really fully grasp the danger that we're in, and it's more like I'd like to get us a little bit more out of the intellectual realm and more into the operational realm. So that's my hope, is that as people start to feel the pangs of both lockdowns, economic destruction, things like that, that people will get way more serious about this shit. Because it is like Spike Cohen, for instance, gave a really great speech, and we hung out with Spike a lot last night. And God, that guy's fucking cool as shit too. He's going to be on Liberty Lockdown soon. Yeah, pumped. And he gave this great speech, and it's like fire you up, getting you in the streets, like arm up. He's serious, and it kind of fell flat to like half the audience. Half was vibing. Like Dave comes out afterwards, and he's like, "Yo, I am pumped! Like, good shit, Spike. You got me going." But you could tell with the audience, it's like many of them are fucking 65-year-old, long-time Republican voting folks, and they just aren't there. They just don't see it how we do. So I think that's more of the pessimistic side, but I agree that it's very nice to meet people in person. It's been an incredible community of people, especially the younger folks, especially the people that either listen to our shows or we actually know from the Twitter world or the podcasting circuit. Like, everyone is so fucking nice, man. Like, they're just like, everyone is like so happy to meet you. Everyone, it's just beautiful. So if you ever get an opportunity to come to one of these things, I would highly recommend it. I don't know if I would necessarily come for the talks, as neither of us have been super impressed with those, but for the community, for the networking, it's like, it doesn't get any better. I mean, it's incredible.
I mean, I think that shows how much excitement and energy and interesting ideas are being thrown around in the Liberty podcast world right now, because these speeches were so fucking boring. I mean, like Spike's was good and
So
a couple others were good, but most of it was just like, why are we here when we could just listen to a part of the problem episode or something? Right. So I think that means that we're winning. Like, if they have to invite people to these events for BoomerCons to listen to, that everyone's going to fall asleep, and then you can have Dave or Spike come out on the stage and get everyone excited, and you can get them hooked on listening to their podcasts. I think that's a great sign. And if you are someone who's trying to start a podcast, I would just say, looking around, only do it if you're sincere. Don't try to pretend to be something you're not, or go for a shtick that you don't really believe in. And also act like yourself. I think what's cool about me and Clint is, we are literally ourselves online. There's nothing different in person.
Yep.
Except,
and guess what? Dave Smith, Scott Horton, Spike Cohen, all exactly what you think they are. Like,
exactly.
They're all fucking animals. So, if you have that in you, then fucking do your own shit. Start your own show. If you don't, or you think you got to be something to like find an audience to fit in, whatever, like, just drop that right away. Like, the veneer is transparent. People will sense it. I think we talked about this a lot last night, is like the biggest thing that has set us apart is the authenticity. And that's the whole reason I got into podcasting was Dave Smith and Joe Rogan. You're not going to find two people that are more authentic than those guys, despite the fact that Rogan's got a bunch of shit opinions. He's very authentic in his shit opinions. Like, he really doesn't have firm opinions on stuff. And I think Dave does have firm opinions, but regardless, overarching point being that authenticity is key. And I absolutely love the fact that I've discovered so many of these people to be the authentic, beautiful beings that they are. Hannah Cox too. I mean, a bunch of people that I've met, everyone I've met basically have been exactly what you would think that they are based off of watching them on their shows, and that is a huge relief to me. I don't know about you. But,
yeah, no, I mean, totally. It was really cool meeting Larry Sharp, Austin Peterson. You know, I don't know, just I don't even remember how many people we've met at this point.
The list goes on and
I'm losing count, but it is really cool seeing them and talking to them in person. And I don't know, like you can just tell a fake immediately, and people who are really sincere and kind or excited or angry or genuine, whatever the feeling is, if it really comes out online and then you also see that when you're talking to them in person, you know it's real. And by the way, there's nothing in the world that means more than someone coming up to me and telling me, hey, I watch your show, it's amazing, I'm inspired by it. So don't be shy, because a lot of people are shy. There was this one guy I was in line with who you know, didn't say anything for a while, and then was like, hey, Reed Coverdale? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh man, I love your show. And I don't know, like, don't be nervous. Like, I don't think anything of myself really. I mean, you know, it's I personally think that I've been successful because of how crazy shit is. You know, the fact that I might be getting Dave Rubin on my show, you know, that says a lot more about how fucking retarded everybody else is than it does that I'm amazing, at least to me. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but
no, I mean, I feel the same way. It's like I always say, there was just a market void. Like, there was a market void that of people that were being authentic, that were very opposed to lockdowns in my case. And it's just great that there is such a void left for people like he and I, that we can actually hop in there and do something. Speaking of Ryan Dawson,
oh my,
you have a story if you'd like
yes,
to talk about that.
No, I do want to talk about this because I think it's crazy. So you guys know me, you follow me. I'm critical of the state of Israel just because it's one of the countries that we give the most aid to, and that we have the most unrelenting support for, no matter what they decide to do. And there's a massive media propaganda campaign to make it seem like they do no wrong. And I have Ryan Dawson on this show once a month to do the 4 Horsemen episodes, and I advertise him on Twitter quite a bit, and I try to boost him because, you know, he's been deplatformed everywhere. So Eliza got a message. You got to remind me of the name again. Like,
Open Secrets.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that name. But Open Secrets sent her a message because there was a picture of us together on the roof that I put on Twitter. And they said, hey, I saw you took a picture with Reed Coverdale. You should really stay away from that guy. He's one of the most prominent Jew haters on Twitter. So she said, she actually let me see these DMs, and they kept rolling in. And it was about how I hate the Jews, and I'm an anti-Semite, and I cloak it in being against the state of Israel or whatever.
Keeping in mind, we had a 2-hour dinner with Dave Smith 2 nights ago,
right?
Because we hate Jews.
Yeah,
makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but actually, she let me end up replying in the DMs. So I was sending replies at first that they wouldn't know it wasn't her, and then at the end, I sent this long paragraph that, you know, I'm really disappointed that because of my opposition to the state of Israel, that you would smear me as some sort of anti-Semite. And then at the end, I hashtagged it with hashtag We Are Ryan Dawson. So
base.
So fuck that guy. Ryan Dawson will always have a platform on this show. I've even gotten into arguments with Ryan. I don't agree with him on every single point he says, but I don't agree with every single point anyone says, except for Clint, obviously.
Thank you.
But, Ryan Dawson exposes billionaire pedophile rape rings and, you know, the most disgusting things going on in the deep state. And I think that's valuable, and I will happily, you know, take on smears if that's what's going to happen if I keep platforming him. But
I got to tell you, just real quick.
Yeah.
Super impressed with Reed in this moment. He didn't waver for an instant. Like, this is a big account. These are like dangerous people. Let's just be honest. These are dangerous people that their entire job is to label you something that gets you deplatformed, which is what has occurred with Ryan Dawson. And Reed's instant response is like, "Let me respond to them," and he hashtags it with "We are Ryan Dawson." This is the real deal right here. Like, if I had any doubts that they were evaporated in that moment, I was like, "This dude's a savage."
Yeah. Now, I mean, if you want to have an honest discussion about why you think we should support the state of Israel financially or with weapons or whatever, like, I'm not going to malign you as someone who's evil, because I think there is a lot of misunderstanding about the scenario over there. So I'll talk to you about it. But if you're just going to instantly call me an anti-Semite or a Jew hater or something, you can go fuck yourself.
Bingo.
But yeah, I think that's impressive. If they are going to call me an anti-Semite, I think that's actually a win. Like, if that giant platform is going to do that, like, I'm doing something right at this point. And I'm sure they're going to come after Clint too, because he's had.
I'm sitting here talking about
he's here with me, first of all, and he's had Ryan on. He's been on the Four Horsemen, and he's having him on again in a few episodes. So, I don't know. I don't think you can run from it. You got to just double down and tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yep. And I will continue to have Ryan Dawson on as long as he'd like to, because I think he's a really interesting person who does really in-depth research. And, like he said, I disagree with some of the things Ryan says, and I definitely don't agree with the tact with which he says some of the things he says. But I think that I'm not going to run from anything. Like, that I didn't get into this to run. I got into it very overtly to put myself out there and to risk something. So I will continue to do so, despite the fact that I look like an American History X fill-in for the lead, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not an anti-Semite. I actually love Jewish people, and I don't give a fuck if, because I push back against the state of Israel or our support of it. Like, if you want to label me something, then go fuck yourself, as he said.
Yeah. And by the way, the attacks that we're getting from these guys, these are the types of attacks I want to see, not the types of attacks that Clint has been seeing the last couple of weeks that I've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Like, this is the target, like, punch up. If you're ending up on the lists I was on, the fucking bad COVID-19 takes, bad HIPAA takes, like, that's where we want to be. We want to be, we want to be exposing outsiders to our message and beating back against the people who are really evil, like these fucking retards who keep coming after us in our own movement, in our own party, and in our own corners of our own movement. It's trash. So just cut it out.
Yes, Edward Norton is who I meant. Thank you, Marshall. Not welcome. Check out my tattoo. I for real love Jewish people. Like, most of my friends in high school were Jews. So it's hilarious to me that would even be thrown at, me or other people I talk to. It's just so silly. But, I'm also getting fucking pushback from what I would consider red-pilled libertarians now. So this is it's a weird world. But I think we're just going to keep pushing forward and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much all I had to say. Make sure you subscribe to Liberty Lockdown and, watch his videos even when he has people you don't like on, because that might be good for your critical thinking skills.
Yeah. Unless if they're boring guests, I understand. Skip it. I tend not to have boring guests, but if I do, feel no obligation. However, if I have someone on that's just like pushing the Overton window, talking about something you're not comfortable with, those are the ones that I would actually recommend you listen to, because I think you'll find that oftentimes people present ideas that you might not have considered. Whether you come away agreeing with them or not is kind of irrelevant. That's not what we're there for, is like just to, use the debate to sharpen your own mental steel, sharpen your own mental blades, so that you can be a better opponent to status moving forward. That's what I like to do with my show. I like to have guests on that push that. So anyways, subscribe to The Naturalist Capitalist with Reed Coverdale, based god that he is, that told open seekers to go fuck themselves. Or We Are Ryan Dawson.
Yeah, and by the way, since Open Secrets is coming after me already, that does make me wonder how long it is before the potato famine sets in, before the Holdemore sets in, before I get destroyed, whatever metaphor you want to use. So we actually, this is good to bring up. We were talking to Dave Rubin's guys about locals today. So I actually do have an account on locals already. I should start using it more. And you're gonna start using it, you think?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah. They was it Ori? She said she would set me up with an account, so I think we're both going to be using that more often to try and diversify our outlets of information. Given that if people are going to start coming after us, then we'll probably be deplatformed at some point. So that's the name of the game, unfortunately.
By the way, big shout out to Eliza for telling me that and letting me respond with. And because obviously I asked her, do you mind if I say this? And I don't know if she thought I was serious, but she did say, yeah, sure. And then I did it. So that was very nice.
She's a legend.
She is.
She's a legend. She's so fucking cool. It's ridiculous. Like, I can't even describe it. She just like goes around connecting us with everybody. She's so fucking nice. I can't even. I love the girl.
Thanks for that super chat there.
Marshall just throwing money at you.
I'm gonna be able to buy a new truck in no time. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Liberty Lockdown. We got 2 more days of Freedom Fest coming up. So
God only knows what happens from here on out, because I don't think you could surpass what we did over the past couple nights. But
I know. I mean, every night it just gets more and more crazy.
But tomorrow, Maj Toure, if we can get his ass, woo! I love Maj. So we'll see what happens.
All right, guys. Good night or good morning. It's super early, but thanks for watching.